So you've just been diagnosed and you're feeling relief. You can finally label all your pain and your grief. You're wondering what's wrong, now you finally can know. No longer a mystery why these symptoms won't go. But what you do from here will make the greatest impact. Spiral down further or set you on the right path. When you're stuck on a label, life can throw you for a loop. You'll grow tired of a system that keeps you from the truth. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Nima show. We're in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Today's episode number 5 on your adjustment above Atlas. We're going to be talking about something I've been pissed off about for the last 15 years.
Debbie asks, I was diagnosed with a condition. I now feel stuck and I'm ready to heal. What should I do?
Great question. You're sitting in the doctor's office and he or she turns to you and says, you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis, fibromyalgia, heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, ileitis, colitis, PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder, attention deficit disorder, gastroesophageal reflux disease, sciatica, cervicogenic headache, migraines, osteoarthritis, degenerative disc disease. Enter diagnosis of the month. See, you get a diagnosis from somebody with a white coat.
I was first diagnosed with osteoarthritis, then with fibromyalgia, ankylosing spondylitis. I call it the diagnosis of the year. Every time I go to the doctor, it seems like I have a new diagnosis. Bursitis, diabetes, gastric reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, hypertension. It just goes on and on and on.
And now you've been ordained with a label. It's been slapped on your forehead, and most people just walk around and allow that to be their identity. I call it the diagnosis trap for a few reasons. The first step you might feel is a profound sense of relief. I just knew it. I knew it wasn't my fault. So after you get this profound sense of relief, you could potentially fall into this trap of feelings and behaviors that I've observed happen often and can really hold you back from the healing that is actually potentially there if you follow the right steps. The second stage is this profound sense of fear that can actually happen. These diagnoses I've observed actually stop you from living. It's this pause button that you have on your life, and you're going from one appointment to the other trying to treat a problem where you're missing the entire point all along. The point of this is to wake you up and to transform these lifestyle decisions that you've made and to actually move in another direction. Often these illnesses are the greatest wake-up call that you could possibly have, because what better way to wake you up and to realize the way that you've been doing things is completely wrong than to make you incredibly uncomfortable. The third stage is where this diagnosis becomes your identity. How are you? I have fibromyalgia. Ladies and gentlemen, I have fibromyalgia. Not to minimize the disorder, but we play up on it quite a bit. And you all know somebody with fibromyalgia who loves to talk about it because it's become their identity. It's become who they are. The most difficult cases are those that have discovered that this diagnosis has become a crutch for them, an excuse to not live their dreams, an excuse to bow down to their fears. That is the problem. And if you want to overcome and heal, you have to actually be able to move forward beyond the label and say, I am not going to allow this to become who I am. Every single person that I have helped transform their health from a state of sick, stressed, and stuck has had to make that mental shift.
I am on buckets of pills now. I just take a handful of pills with every meal and at bedtime. I have pills I take before meals and with meals. That was before I came to hear Dr. Nima talk.
Now, if I haven't pissed you off enough by what I've said so far, and you're still watching, and you are courageous enough to actually move forward into a place where that diagnosis no longer becomes your reality, and you are actually using it as a stepping stone to live your fulfilling dream, then here is the protocol that I've been using successfully for the past 14 years in my Westgate Wellness Center clinic. This protocol focuses on what's ignored in our healthcare system: the cells, the spine, and the soul. First step is to clear all structural stress, any obstruction to the foundation of your entire nervous system, which is your spine. Any structural shifts, any obstructions creates a unconscious state of stress, of fight or flight, and by getting yourself checked by a chiropractor, you can actually help start that process of healing. The second stage that I do in my protocol is to clear resentment for our current life situation, for your partner, for a traumatic past. One of my heroes, Dr. Gabor Mate, who's been taking care of sick, stressed, and stuck people for the past 30+ years, says it best.
In my opinion, and I would also say, according to very well established research, all chronic illnesses, with the exception of very few genetically determined ones, all chronic illnesses, whether it's mental illness like ADHD, or addiction, or depression, or psychosis, or the physical illnesses like the autoimmune conditions, cancer and so on, scleroderma, systemic lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, are typically people who were traumatized in childhood and responded by the shutting down of emotion. There's a clear relationship between childhood trauma and autoimmune disease and cancer and all kinds of other conditions.
If you want to heal, you have to be able to make that change in your mindset that has created and contributed to the stressful state that's contributing to your diagnosis in the first place. According to the World Health Organization, most of the diagnoses, between 75 to 90% of them, have stress as an underlying trigger. So if we don't address that cause, then there is no hope for you in healing from this diagnosis. Once you have cleared and transformed that stressful story and that emotional scar, all of a sudden the fog lifts and you become more aware of who you are and what you're here to do. At the end of every healing journey is a changing of the story to then serve others and use that challenge as a stepping stone to something greater, a higher version of yourself, which serves other people. Part 2 is then the lifestyle changes necessary in order to have the energy management to go ahead and fulfill that vision. I used to make the mistake of try to change people's lifestyle early on in their care. You should eat this, you should start exercising. Well, guess what? Everyone knows that they should be eating better and exercising. The question is, why aren't we doing it? And the answer is because we're holding on to resentment. But once you clear resentment and you now become aware of who you are and what you're here to do, you're now more inspired to eat properly and to exercise, because the exercise and the dietary changes are now done for energy management rather than just for something that I should be doing because my doctor told me to.
My blood pressure is normal. I am absolutely not depressed. I absolutely don't have fibromyalgia. The label doesn't need to define you.
My friends, diagnosis is not your identity. It does not have to be who you are. It can transform, and it can actually be something that you can create meaning out of to serve the planet. Healing is a process about making you whole, an inside-out job. It's not your doctor's role. When you put it in their hands, you really never know how to stop being a victim and use it all to grow. The healing power lies directly in your hands. Your cell, spine, and soul awaken from the trance. Pop in the meds and taking a chance. Try to find an answer in an insurance dance. The pills and the potions are becoming a joke. Leave you stuck, disempowered, and heading for broke. Now, even if you are one of those skeptical blokes, the diagnosis isn't who you are, folks. The diagnosis isn't who you are, folks. Now, if you've been diagnosed with something or you want to avoid a diagnosis, I have a free video that shows you the top 10 signs and signals that your body is not adapting well to stress, so you can actually get started in doing something about it. Tell us where to send the video, follow the link below, and let's continue the conversation. That's going to piss off a lot of people.